Okay, so that is on my soapbox. So let me get off it for a minute and introduce you to the three experts who are going to be taking us through this conversation today. First, I'm so excited to introduce you to Dee Clemens. Dee is a seasoned entrepreneur with over 31 years of experience in building and managing successful companies. Her entrepreneurial journey began with a small childcare facility in Atlanta, which she transformed into a thriving 14 units within a few years. Dee has ventured into various industries, including restaurants, hospitality, and franchises, showcasing her ability to identify emerging trends and capitalize on them. She is known for her strategic vision, exceptional leadership skills, and the ability to adapt to changing market dynamics. Dee is passionate about mentoring and empowering aspiring entrepreneurs, inspiring them to pursue their own business ventures. With her vast experience, dedication, and innovative mindset, Dee continues to be a driving force in the business world, inspiring both seasoned and budding entrepreneurs. Great to have you here, Dee.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. And next we have Shanika Friesen. Get ready to be inspired by the amazing Shanika, the owner of Romaris Apparel, based in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Shanika's journey to entrepreneurship started in high school, and since then she has become a shining example of how hard work and determination she has become a shining example of hard work and determination. With a business management degree from Huntington College and years of experience as a former ambassador of the Chamber of Commerce of West Alabama, Shanika launched Romaris Apparel in 2017 and has since expanded her business to offer plus-size clothing, home decor, and merchandise from various colleges. Her passion for meeting people who share fond memories of their alma mater is second to none. We are thrilled to have her here today to share her expertise and inspire us to never give up on our dreams. Hi, Shanika.
Hello, everyone.
Great to have you. And finally, we have Gustavo Usteres. As the Senior Manager for Entrepreneur and Small Business Support, Gustavo designs, implements, and manages and monitors Main Street America's entrepreneurial support programs to build resilient business models in local economies. Previously, as program officer for neighborhood services, he expanded Main Street America's commercial district revitalization services, especially for big cities and Spanish-speaking communities. Before Main Street America, Gustavo spent 17 years as a tourism planning and development consultant, working with NGOs, local government, and community groups. He's fluent in Spanish and holds a bachelor's of business administration in tourism and hospitality management and an MBA. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Okay, so now we know we've got the right people for the job. We've got the content. And right before we jump in, we want to hear from you all. So I have a quick poll that is going to pop up on your screen. We're really curious about how you as entrepreneurs find your resources when you are looking for business resources and information for your businesses. So you're going to see a question pop up right here. I ask that you choose your top 2 or 3 options just so we can see where are you going when you need to find information for your business. All right, I'm seeing some folks get in here. We're going to leave this up for just a minute or two. Wonderful. It looks like just from a quick look at this, online search is definitely king. Business mentors and coaches and networking groups. Okay, that is wonderful. I'm going to leave this up for a little longer because I really want to capture that information from everyone who's interested in dropping that in there. So. I see some folks who are not seeing the poll. It should pop up right on your computer screen, or it might be in the black bar at the bottom. If you're on mobile, you might be able to select other. All right, thank you everyone for participating. We had really great participation in that. It looks like I'll share really quickly so you can all see where we're at here. Lots of online search. business mentors and coaches with networking groups coming in just under that, which is really perfect for today's conversation, right? So let's go ahead and jump into it. And I really want to start with D. So can you share a specific example of how building strategic relationships has significantly benefited one of your clients?
Let me just start with that. I want to make sure that all of our guests today leave with a lot of good, I want to say the word meat, right? I want you to go away knowing that you're full and that you got what you came from. So I'm going to definitely give a lot of quotes that I want you all to remember. And when we talk about building, networks and building these partnerships and having access to experts in the business world, I always remember a quote that I share with a lot of my clients, and that is that there's an English author named John Donne, and he says, no one is an island. No man is an island by themselves. And basically what that means is that we're not self-sufficient. Everybody relies on someone else. And, there's a quote, lifting as you climb. You can't go to the next level without having someone, help you up. So I want you all to remember that when you think about having experts and experts on your team to help you move. And I tell my clients a lot. So I coach for Axion. If you haven't used the free coaching services that Axion provides, please don't leave this webinar today without asking us information about that. But I service probably from 60 to 80 clients a month, and it's a free program that Axion offers. And one of the biggest things that I find with my clients is that they're not proficient in making sure that their finances are in order. And so, although I have a list of experts, after 31 years of entrepreneurship, I found that, I have to have a business attorney on hand at all times. You want to make sure you have that. You want to make sure that you have a good bookkeeper and accountant on hand. You want to make sure that you have someone that's really good at building your websites and your social media platforms. You want to have these experts at hand. So building a list of experts in different fields. And I just gave you those three just because those are the three that come to mind most often. But the one that I refer the most to clients is the accountant and the bookkeeper. The biggest, stories that I hear about business failing is because our finances are not in order. So I'll share a story with you about a client that I had, and I say a client, and I can tell you that this has probably happened probably 3 times a month with me dealing with clients who have issues with their financial management. Was a client who just didn't know the status of her business. She didn't know, what her profits look like. She was struggling with cash flow issues. She was struggling with, not having an accounting system in place, struggling with making bad decisions of how she was spending her money. So I referred her to an expert out of my network, which was an accounting expert and bookkeeper. And we did a performance evaluation of her business. And basically, we just looked at, the internal workings of her expenses and her income. It's very simple. And from that, we were able to develop plans for risk management. We were able to help her get in position to secure funding, working capital for her business, and to create a plan for growth and expansion. So I say that to say, all those 3 things that I told you, making sure you have someone to develop your website, social media marketing, having an attorney on standby on hand that you can ask legal questions to, but that accounting and bookkeeper, someone that you can look at on a monthly basis, quarterly basis about the evaluation and the performance of your business from a financial management perspective is key. It is the key to survival of your business. So that's the one that I would share, Brittany.
I love that answer because especially when you're seeing multiple clients every month, come in and have the same issue, that is such a great place to start and really shows how you having that relationship with that accounting professional and then the entrepreneur building that relationship is key in staying financially healthy. So,
But I'll add this, Brittany, if you will allow me to add something. You want to have a list of experts. Like I want every person, every participant that's on this call have like a list of experts, but not just have a list of experts, but making sure that you're building a relationship with those experts, that if you call them and you need support, or someone that needs support, that you build that relationship. It's one thing to know somebody, to know an accountant, but having a relationship where you can pick up the phone and say, hey, I've got a client, I've got a friend, or I have an issue, and they jump to support you, that's the key. Knowing people is not enough. Having them to be able to pick up the phone and support you is the key thing.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. And this is exactly why we are having this conversation today, to talk about the importance of that. Okay, my next question is for Gustavo. From your experience, how can small businesses effectively collaborate with nonprofits to create, mutually beneficial relationships?
Thank you, Brittany. And yeah, great insights, Dee. And I think that the answer to this question really ties into what you were saying, that it really comes down to relationships. And relationships in communities start with trust. I have been working with communities, especially communities that have large immigrant populations moving into a community, where established nonprofits have tried to use, a very professional system of, you send out a letter to newcomers or to new business owners to invite them to a meeting or to join a committee or something, and then they are surprised that nobody shows up. Well, maybe you need to go to the soccer game first, and you need to meet people in a social setting first, and then you invite them to join a committee. So building the trust, and really showing, that interest in the individual, I think it's important. And so for your question, it goes both ways. I think that from the point of view of the businesses and from the point of view of the nonprofits, making sure that they are building the trust, that they have a foundation for the professional relationship, is going to be very important. Once that trust is being built, for the relationship to be long lasting, both parties have to identify what is the shared vision and the shared goals. In a lot of our communities, and I know that depending on the strategic framework that you use for planning or for other things, you might use different wording, but at the end of the day, most communities, what are looking for is quality of life. We want, a place where people can live, that is welcoming, that people feel comfortable, that people can enjoy and want to spend time in. And obviously that has a lot of different elements that come together, right? When it comes to safety, to housing that is affordable for everyone in the community, business opportunities, walkability. There are so many different, nature and outdoors access to it. So all of those elements are important. So finding that shared vision and goal between the businesses and the nonprofits is probably a key in being able to identify in a couple of our Main Street communities, we are seeing, when we are working, and I work with the team that focuses a lot on small business support. So we are spending a lot of time with the small businesses, and seeing the disproportionate amount of responsibility that has fallen on small businesses to address the affordable housing crisis, where they are the ones that are, in contact with a lot of people that are unhoused most of the day. And in some cases, it's individuals that need mental support, individuals that need a lot of very specialized support that business owners are not prepared to do. But at the same time, it's creating a dynamic in the commercial districts where then business owners are also being affected because of their revenue, because of situations that may happen. So those sort of imbalances are creating issues, and a lot of the times that's where a lot of nonprofits that are more focused on the social elements of our community can come in and provide that support, so that we are not creating this overly burden on the small businesses, to be able to do that, especially tying it back to what Dee said, that those business owners are not only running their stores, but in a lot of times they're the artisans producing the products that are being sold in those stores. And then before and after work, they're doing the role of the CFO, they're doing the role of the chief marketing officer, and they're answering emails and providing quotes and everything. So they're doing a lot of extra work. So I think finding those shared visions and goals are key there.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I love how you put it into perspective of having that shared vision, how it can support the entrepreneur really one-on-one, but also in terms of the changing dynamics of their business. Can the nonprofit support in different ways that's not one-on-one directly help me with my business, but help me with the community.
Mhm.
Makes so much sense. Okay, Shanika, my next question is for you. You are a longtime business owner. Can you share a story about a strategic relationship that has been pivotal to your business success?
Well, I've noticed that during the polls, a lot of the people notice that they use Google, they use social media, but they are really missing out on those nonprofits. I had a phase that I wanted to take my business to a different level to really expand my reach with my public, not just from e-commerce, but I didn't want to open a storefront. So I was doing a lot of the background information on who I think I would need to talk to, where I need to go, but I just was not getting a direct person or individual that I know I needed to talk to. And so I went back to the Small Business Development Center. And actually, the person that I was paired up with, he spoke my
Oh,
C, which is the big licensing hub for many colleges throughout the United States, located in Atlanta, and they control a lot of the licensing with the colleges and universities. So he had previous experience working with them as well as with the Small Business Development Center. And in our conversation, he saw how far I was already progressed with like being on the city suppliers list and those things, that he was actually able to give me a direct contact information for the person that's over the diversity program as well as product management. So I was able to just really skip a couple of hurdles. A lot of times when you're trying to do things yourself, YouTube is great, but it's not going to be the answer for everything. And we have these resources. That's what they are here for. And people need to take more advantage of those things. I think social media is great. I love the social media gurus, but we have people whose job is to help small business owners, and they are giving out tons of information. But if you're never in the room, if you're never on these email lists, you're missing out on so much information, not just about funding. Like Dee said, people need advisory on accounting, business law, taxes. It's so much into this model of being a business owner that goes past just the glitz and the glam of selling your product or services and getting in front of people, or having a viral moment. You want to be sustainable, and if you want to really take your business to another level or expand on any services or products you have, you need to make sure that you have a team lined up to help you do that.
oh, so many great insights. And I love that you were like, yeah, we love a social media and online search moment, but there is something about having someone who can connect you with the other someones, the people who are doing the work in your community. Um,
Exactly. They do this every day. So, you don't want to always just rely on social media. If you want to make sure that you're getting your money's worth, you know, definitely reach out to these nonprofits, because there's a ton of resources that you're really missing out on that you don't have to pay for.
Yes, I love that. And Emma has dropped the resource. If you want to look and find where your local SBDC is, you can use that link that's in the chat. Okay, Dee, my next question is for you. What are some practical steps a small business owner can take to start building their network if they're starting from scratch?
Yeah, I just want to challenge all of our guests to level up. Remember, level up, level up, level up. And again, I'm going to give you all another quote because I want you to walk away with some meat today. There's a quote that talks about the sum of the 5 people that you spend your time with. If you don't know that quote, you want to find out. Find out about that, and it's basically that, if you're spending your time, the 5 people that you spend the most of your time with, you can look at the value of those people, and that's how you come up with the sum of where you are. But also that's going to help you to level up. So when you talk about building your network, there's another quote that you may have heard: your network is your net worth, right? So just look at the people that you're around, look at the people that you're building these relationships with. This is where mentor and mentee comes in, right? You want to get someone that is an expert and knows a little bit more than you do. And so, when we're talking about starting from scratch, everybody says, well, how do I do that if I don't know anybody? The best thing that I can tell you is that you want to join networks and industry associations that are associated with where you're trying to go. So look around in the community. Brittany just used the acronym of SBDC. That's a Small Business Development Council or committee that may be in your community. You've heard about the chambers. And I've had a lot of clients to say to me, well, Dee, I joined the chamber. I really didn't get a benefit, But the thing is that when you join these organizations, you got to be very specific of looking for who's a great mentor in those organizations for you. It's not the whole organization. It's that one person that's in that group, or those two people that are in that group that have an expertise in something that you want to have it in. And even if they don't have an expertise in something that's related to your business, maybe they've just been a great entrepreneur. Maybe they started a business from scratch. Maybe they network like crazy and you just want to be close to them. So, one thing that I want you to do is some practical steps: join networks, attend events, like find events. I want you all to be very strategic about quarterly. I'm going to attend an event around my business, or quarterly, I'm going to attend an event that could possibly get me a new customer. I'm going to attend an event that's going to help me grow professionally. And then I want you to create online profiles. If you're not on LinkedIn, if you don't have a social media profile, because that's really how you expand beyond your network. One of the things that I did was once I expanded my business and I started having my online presence, my business became national. My services became national. So, and even international. So I want to make sure that you guys are definitely using a practical step of expanding your online presence. And that's just not social media, but that's all forms of online presence. And then get a mentor. Back again to getting that mentor and making sure that you're expanding those 5 people that you're spending time with. And so those would be the practical steps, Brittany, that I would want to share with our guests today. And I hope you guys got something out of that. But remember that you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most of your time with, and level up.
I love that. It's inspirational. It's definite, like these are practical tips. You can go do these things today. And Dee, just what you said about not just joining, but then finding the people who you are like, I am going to connect. Get your, time investment, money investment worth, because it's time to join these groups. So get in there and get that investment to pay off for you. Love those tips. Okay, Gustavo, for you, what resources or supports can nonprofits offer to small businesses that they may not be aware of?
That's a really good question, and that has a lot of different pathways that can be explored. So, for example, nonprofits, depending on the role that they are providing in the community, might need suppliers for different things, for either catering an event or a training that they are doing, or a workshop, or if they're putting together if they're organizing a conference with people coming from out of town, normally they will put together a goodie bag that usually has local products in it. So finding out what sort of activities or things that the local nonprofit does to see if you can become a supplier to them is one of the opportunities that would be a direct impact to the small business bottom line, because you will be able to start a professional relationship and be able to sell a product to the organization. So that would be one. In other cases, you might find ways of leveraging the possibility of a nonprofit applying to certain grants that are not open to small businesses, to for-profit businesses, for things that would enhance your business, even if it's indirectly. And one example that I can provide in that case, Main Street with T-Mobile has the Hometown Grant. This is a grant that is open to local governments and to nonprofits for projects that are going to have an impact in a community. So, for example, you want to improve or you want to create a pocket park in this little place of vacant land close to your commercial district, or you want to activate an alleyway, or you want to improve or update the equipment on the children's playground. All of these elements that, even though they might not be directly related to the specific business, are enhancing the quality of life and are creating that welcoming environment in our communities that people want to spend time, and then people want to then visit the businesses. So those could be some opportunities of there are certain projects and certain initiatives that need to happen or that would enhance the attractiveness of a commercial district that nonprofits are better suited to be able to fundraise for them. So that could be another possibility there. And the third one, and I mean, we're not too deep into the webinar so far, but I am starting to see definitely a trend line around networking, because it's been part of the responses from both Dee and Shanika of the importance of that networking and making sure that it's meaningful networking, that you are making connections with individuals, like Shanika said, that are experiencing and are going through the same things, or that can find opportunities. So I think that nonprofits can play a great role there as well in being able to be those connectors, in making those meaningful networking opportunities. And like Dee said, sometimes you just need to find that one individual that you met through that meeting or the networking event, and that becomes the individual that is very impactful, not even necessarily going through the resources of the organization, but of that specific individual that you met. So I think networking would be the third key element there, where nonprofits could provide some great value.
Absolutely. I love those. All those different perspectives are not things that I would have naturally thought about, like selling my product to a nonprofit or making sure that they're investing in changes to enhance the quality of life. Those are great. Okay, Shanika, what networking strategies have you found most effective in your entrepreneurial journey?
Well, I found that really being on the right email list will really put you in contact with the right organizations that you need to be into. And just like Dee said, you definitely have to go to networking events. As my time being an ambassador with my local chamber here in West Alabama, I found that a lot of the information you can get firsthand before the public knows, because you are embracing your area that you're in, the city, as well as your employer, if you're still employed or if you're self-employed. These are the things that you're going to want to know. At some point in time, some businesses may want to work with the local city or other municipalities. So why not join places like the chamber? Now, I do agree that even with these different organizations, you make it worth your while. It's not where you just walk in and all the bells and whistles goes off and everything is handed to you. You really have to work your set. Depending on what your goal is, going to networking events. If you're unsure about, what the room is like, look at the Facebook, look at social media. They always have pictures and maybe like little articles or things of showing people who are there. Use that LinkedIn, use your research to see who are these people, what are their positions at their job. This could be beneficial to you because when you go to these events, 9 times out of 10, they are in the afternoon or evening time. So you want to make sure that you're engaged, but not overwhelm your audience. You don't want to talk too much, but you want to talk enough. Give them about 2 minutes, and they may be a more chatty person, they may not be, but at least limit your conversation to about 2 minutes, but make it impactful. Exchange information. That way you can make an appointment, so maybe lunch dates later, so that you can talk more about your business, what it is that you're looking for, and just what is it, how you can partner up. I will say that one of the things that people always forget are like business cards. So I found this, if you guys can see it, it's called Popl, which is spelled Popl. It's a digital business card. So they come in the form of this wristlet here, or you can have one on your keychain. You can have one that's kind of shaped like a credit card, and it downloads all your information. So you don't have to worry about trying to exchange information really quickly, trying to put it in their phone. You can direct them anywhere. You can direct them to your WhatsApp, LinkedIn, your social media, your website, whatever, and it gives them all the information. So right there is a way that you can create more people to your email list. And then that way you can also keep in touch with people all in one instance. So it's just more about making sure that you work your set. Just make sure that you read the room. For people who don't like to talk as much, take someone with you that can be like an accountability partner that just say, okay, we're going in here, we're going to enjoy the food, we're going to enjoy the wine, but this is our goal. We want to meet at least 2 or 3 people. And it doesn't have to be someone who may be more relatable to your business, because think you're going to expand at some point. So you need to make sure that you diversify your clientele and your network. And this is the best way to do it. A lot of the times, if they are free, take advantage of them. If you have to pay a fee, think of it as an investment. You're going to write it off anyway. So make sure that you use what you have. Go outside of your city. If you're in a college town like I am, go outside of your city, go to a different county. Just make sure that you're really utilizing those resources, because you never know who's in those rooms. And I can tell you, just at a recent event I did a month ago, in that room were people from the local housing authority. I met people who wants to put me in touch with a professional football player who's looking for investments for this next phase that I'm going into. So if I wasn't in the room, I never would have met these people. So I'm very appreciative for all the hard work our local cities and places like ASEAN Opportunity Fund are doing by really trying to connect and bridge that gap between the know and who doesn't know. So I definitely think that's what people need to be concentrating on.
Oh, I love that. I love the idea, and so many people in the chat do too, of having a wing person to go, an accountability partner to go in with you and share your story to make sure, you're getting your investments worth, like you said. Love that. Okay, my next question is for Dee. What common challenges do small business owners face when trying to build a network, and how can they overcome them?
I think the biggest thing is that we get overwhelmed sometimes with going to events. You get overwhelmed with networking, or every day there's a different event and you're trying to go to the event. So I think that the biggest challenge is that when we don't have a plan, we don't really have a clear goal of why we're needing to network. We don't have a clear goal of why we're going to events. So unclear goals would be one of the challenges that a lot of my clients face. And then not having an objective. So once you attend, what is your objective? What is it that you want to get out of it? Who do you want to meet? Did you do your homework before you attended the event, or before you call that person, to know that you have an objective of what you want to get out of the call or the meeting or the event? And then just no purpose in your business. Every business needs to have a purpose for being in existence. That's the big question that I ask a lot of my business clients. I'll say, what was the purpose of opening a business? There's Simon Sinek, start with why. You guys have heard that before. Know why you're doing what you do. And then having an evaluation plan. You want to be able to evaluate whether your time spent, whether what did you get out of it, and just having a real plan. So I think the challenges are, again, as a recap, unclear goals, no purpose, not having a way to evaluate your objectives and what you've done for that day or for that moment or for that meeting. So we want to make sure that you're planning everything that you do and having a purpose behind everything that you do as a business owner when you're talking about building networks and attending networking events.
Yeah, I love that. Just having that purpose, moving into it so you can kind of concentrate your efforts. Because we can't do everything. We want to, but we can't. Okay. My next question is for Gustavo. What strategies do you recommend for maintaining long-term impactful relationships between small business owners and nonprofits?
That's a really good question as well. And a lot of the work that small businesses, a lot of the work that nonprofits working with small businesses do is long term, and we don't see the results immediately. It's a growing process. So I'm going to do a little bit from the point of view of the small business owner, and then from the nonprofit point of view in that relationship, and then sort of like what falls in the middle. I think from the point of view, from the shoes of the small business owner, in order to maintain that long-term relationship, be prepared and show up when you are going to commit to something. Anytime that a business owner signs up for a mentoring session or for a coaching program or for a workshop and doesn't show up, it's resources that are wasted, because maybe that slot could have been used by another business owner. So those limited resources are wasted when somebody doesn't show up, and you are going to get the value based on what you are putting in as well. You can't come in with the mindset that just because you're sitting with a social media coach, that they're going to put together your social media strategy and tell you this is your content calendar and go take the photos for you. You can't. They're going to give you sort of the framework, but really the nitty-gritty, the details that are going to work for your audience to connect them to your products or services, you have to do it. So business owners have to come in knowing that they're going to do a lot of the work, that the coach, the expert, the support is going to provide frameworks and high level strategic support, but you need to fill in the details on how to make that work for your business and to the market segments that you have. So I think from the small business point of view, that's key for long term. From the point of view of the nonprofits, making sure that the resources that are available are really aligned to the needs of the business owners that you are trying to serve, and to the entrepreneurs that you are trying to serve. That is key. That is available, that they are in the format that the individuals want. We are working right now in a pilot program of rural entrepreneurship with 32 communities that are distributed across 9 states. The one thing that most business owners are telling us that they do not have is time.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to do very concise, very specific content for their trainings and for the support that you need is very important. At the same time, the availability of time that they have, they're probably going to be in their store because they don't have employees. A lot of them are solopreneurs, so they don't have employees, so they cannot go to a meeting or they cannot do something else. So they're joining workshops through their phones, or they're doing educational content through their phones. That's something else very important for nonprofits and other supporting organizations. How optimized is your content to be able to be easily utilized and digested, seen on a phone, on a small device, knowing that some people might need to be able to expand the font or other things. So those are types of things are important. And if we are doing events in person, being mindful that we have a large cohort of business owners that might still be in a transition mode where they have one or multiple jobs and they are starting their business. So how flexible are we in offering our workshops in the evening before 8:30 a.m. on a Saturday afternoon? So being able to come and meet the business owners and the entrepreneurs where they are will definitely go a long way in building that relationship for the long term. And then when it comes to both of them together, I think the key is clear communication that is very timely and that is very relevant, and that everybody that is in the process is informed as to what is happening, what are the opportunities, the resources available, the deadlines for them, and that way people can sort of plan and put everything together in a way that is timely and that fits their day-to-day schedules.
That's so many great pieces of information. And I couldn't agree more, especially about, showing up when you have a spot or being really clear in your communication. Shanika is someone who participated in previous AOF programs, and she showed up and we're like, she has to be in a webinar. She's a subject matter expert. So you just never know what can happen from showing up and just putting everything into it and just communicating with everyone. It really helps build, those long-term relationships. I love it. And if you're in the chat right now, I see some folks have already submitted a couple questions. We're going to move into our Q&A in just a bit here, but if you do have questions for any of the panelists, please be sure to drop them there and we'll cover them when we get to our Q&A time. Okay, Shanika, so I want to ask you, what advice would you give to other small business owners who are hesitant to invest time in networking? Because we just heard time is, on a crunch.
Well, you're doing yourself a disservice. This is just as important as making money your business, because if no one knows your business, if they don't know who you are or what you bring to the table, you're doing yourself a disservice. This is just as important. More importantly, it's a way that you need to communicate, to let people know exactly what it is that you are looking for, and vice versa. So it's very important that this is a big chunk of why you're in business, is to be well known, to bring your services or products to the world, and we need to know that. But it goes back to what they say, your network is your net worth. You have to make sure that that is a priority, and that not only don't make it self-serving. You don't want to just call people for their expertise when you're in a bind or you need some help. Make sure that you are being beneficial to their relationship, because it's just like as important as any other relationship that you have. You never know what comes about those these days. So definitely make sure that you're viable, make sure that you're reliable, and just as Gustavo said, if you're reaching out for services and help, I know a lot of times you get caught up and get in the hype of things. We have like always have a wave of things. Oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. But make sure that you are ready and prepared. A lot of the work that they're going to ask you to do is some things you should have already done. Making sure that your social media is up, making sure your website is together, making sure that people can find you on Google. Those things are very important. So make sure that you're doing your work every day. And so that when you get into front of these people and these organizations that can help you, you're not trying to scurry to try to get these things together, that is already there and you're ready to work and put that work out there and make sure that it's being, successfully implemented in your business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is so key to and having that reciprocal relationship as well. Okay, so here is one of my final questions for all of our experts today before we move into the Q&A is, if there was one piece of advice or one thing a business owner could do today to build their network, what would it be? Dee, I'd love to start with you.
Yeah, I would say that it is so important to be consistent. Sometimes we start out with a plan and then we say, well, I used to do that and I don't do it anymore. So before you can be consistent, you've got to have a plan. So we need to be really clear that we have a goal of what we want to accomplish. And this formula works. I don't care what business it is, but this formula that I'm about to give is a formula that works. So first of all, you're going to set a goal. Once you set the goals, you know exactly what you want to achieve. You know why you're going to a networking event. You know why you want to meet the people you want to meet, whether the goal is to, increase sales in your business or get more customers, or, if you're in a brick and mortar, you want to expand your business, whatever your goal is, make sure you have a plan. Make sure you know what your goals are. And then you want to put action items behind that. Whatever the action items are. But then the last thing is that you got to be consistent with it. And so when you create the action items, it needs to say, I'm going to do this on a daily basis. I'm going to do this on a monthly basis. I'm going to do this on a weekly basis, and be consistent. So being consistent, having an action plan, and just carrying that out. I think that's the key thing to making sure that that you're successful in the business.
Love it. And I love that it works for every business. So you heard it. If you're here, you have a business, that's the formula. Okay, Gustavo, same question for you. If there's one piece of advice or one thing a business owner could do today to start building their network, what would it be?
I would say be very intentional in getting to know the business owner next door and the business owner across the street more. Like very focused and very intentional in getting to know who they are, what their motivations are, how they got into business, where do they see their business going, and start from there, getting to know that business owner next door, getting to know the business owner in front of you can lead to maybe doing some sort of like an organization with them that can lead into forming a business association in your commercial district, and being organized and being able to, as a commercial district, approach nonprofits, approach local governments for issues or challenges or for opportunities that you are seeing in the market can be very crucial. But you can get to the point and you can't force an association to get formed until the individual business owners have established that personal relationship of trust. So start with the business next door and the business across the street, and then grow from there.
Love that. So like look around you, see who's around you, and start building those relationships. Wonderful. And Shanika, same question for you. One piece of advice or one thing a business owner could do or start today to start building their network, what would it be?
Just show up every day, hold yourself accountable. A lot of time as business owners, we do a lot of emotional thinking, depending on what our mood is, we may put 70% forth effort or 10%, or maybe things are just not working out due to other parts of your life. But if you can really dig deep and show up every day, your business, you are your business and your business is you. No matter how many employees, you still would have to oversee to make sure that they are doing the job correctly. So make sure you hold yourself accountable now. So if you're just a business and you're the only employee, show up every day so that when you have employees, now you know how to better gauge and lead those employees to make sure that your goals are being met, and that most importantly, that the business is thriving. So make sure that you just hold yourself accountable. I know it's hard. It's definitely a up down day, many days, some days you may feel great about your business. Some days you just ready to just say, forget it. I'll just continue back with my full-time job. But make sure that you hold yourself accountable. God gave you this business for a reason, and you have resources that can help you get it from point A to B.
I love it. I love that. There's so many great nuggets of things you can take away today just from that last bit of the conversation. We've already received some really great questions, so I'm going to move right into the Q&A and see if we can get as many of these answered as possible. So many of us, for D, this is this first question. In the very beginning, when you were talking about the 3 business roles that should be implemented, I believe you said an accountant and legal advice, things like that. This person is asking, sorry, when would these 3 business roles be implemented or filled in a small business? Basically a timeline on what positions to fill first.
Well, I saw that question and I think they wanted to know the timeline, but also how they would be beneficial. So from a compliance perspective, I think that the business lawyer is important, how you have incorporated your business, what type of liability, insurance, or what type of documents you need to put in place to protect you from a liable perspective as an individual. So you want to always make sure that you have a lawyer so that you're, clearing and covering yourself from a liability perspective, tax compliance perspective, making sure that you're filing the right documents for your business. I'm a former local elected official, so sometimes people don't realize that, not only do you need to have that Secretary of State LLC or the federal documents EIN numbers, but you also have to have a local business license. So you want to make sure that from a compliance perspective that you've talked to an attorney and you have that cleared for regular profit and loss statements about your business. You want to know the financial health. It's just like we go to the doctor for our own physical health. The business needs a health check. And that health check starts with that P&L and those accounting practices. And then the social media and the website is back again to what we're talking about, whether you go in and from the branding perspective, right? You go into a networking event and somebody says, well, how do I find you? Yeah, sometimes people don't want to look at a QR code or scan a QR code or they'll lose a card. But if you've got a simple branding message, dclemens.com or, whatever your brand is, then you know that people can find you from that. So you want to have those 3 people on hand, someone that you can always call. And I don't think it's a particular order. I think you need all 3, and they're all 3 very important to a business.
Thank you so much, Dee. Okay, this next question, I'll kick it to Shanika, but feel free, everyone, to jump in. We know our experts have a wealth of information, so on all of these questions. Shanika, I understand networking is essential, but how do you determine which networking group is good or great to be considered to be a part of? I've attended a few events that were not fruitful.
Well, it really depends on what your goal is. If you're going to know who your local city officials are, definitely the chamber is going to be one of them. Or if you're looking for you're thinking of growing your business, maybe that's going to expand to another city or another county, then they have a ton of nonprofit and a lot of organizations that can help you with it. You'll be surprised at a lot of the events, like in the city of Birmingham, which is about 30 minutes away from me. There are a lot of organizations that's working with banks that have like micro accelerator programs that can help businesses that go from, being a new business owner, where they giving you speakers every week. Some even have an award where you may get a stipend at the end of the program. But from that point, they will really teach you how to engage engage with other people, such as our professional people, or like I said, city officials, to really talk to them and really get to the meat as to what it is that you're looking for, but it really just depends on what it is that you are wanting to get out of it. Or do you just want to know the who's who around your city? Do you want to really start to maybe engage with other businesses and maybe collaborate on events? So it really just depends on what you do. But I will also tell people all the time is that don't just kind of sit in your niche, go outside of that. If you're in business, even with social media groups, they have so many groups like Black Women in Tech groups. They can keep you abreast of a lot of the programs and certifications because you're never going to stop learning. So those are things that you need to look at as well. So it's such a trifecta effect on what it is that you're looking for. But the best thing is, like I always tell people, start with your chamber first and then just branch out and make sure that you just stay on these email lists because you're missing a lot of great events if you're not even in the email list. So you won't know a lot of things that's going on in your city. And even if you can't go, maybe you have an employee. Maybe you, if it's still pretty small, maybe you have a trusted family member or a spouse that can go in place of you just so that you can just start to kind of diversify what it is that you're doing and what you're expecting out of that. So, use your resources, use the people around you to make sure that you're in the places where you need to be at because they will be beneficial later.
Love that. I love the idea of bringing people in. That seems like a theme, Shanika, around your feedback is like, let people come with you and support you and help you. I love that. Okay, Gustavo, this next question is, what are some networking tips for those of us with multiple businesses, which I feel like is pretty, entrepreneurial spirit esque. Basically, this person says, I cringe when I'm asked what it is that I do. It seems awkward to run down, my full list.
That's a very interesting question. I think that the networking strategy in that case is going to have to be adapted depending on whether you are networking in a peer-to-peer group, so you are networking with other individuals that provide similar products or services, or you are networking to build a customer base. So I think that it would have to be adapted to which type of networking it is. I would also think that depending on how similar the different businesses that the individual runs, how similar or different they are, you might be networking in completely different spaces and with completely different organizations for your different types of businesses. So you could really focus and narrow down that when you're coming into this room for this specific networking event, you're wearing the hat of business A because that's really the one that's more impactful for that audience and for the connections there. And then in this other event, then you focus on the other one. Yeah, I think that and the individual is right that they say that it feels awkward running down through a whole list of businesses. So I would lead with which is the one that would be the most impactful for the audience, or the one that would get me in the door, that open the connection. And then once they get to know you better, once you are able to show a little more of what that core business is, then you can expand about the other businesses. It sounds like a very interesting challenge to try to put an elevator pitch for multiple businesses, because that's very difficult to do for one business. So that would be an interesting consideration there as to, do these businesses have some sort of commonality? Is there like a common thread that they all follow? Or if it's completely standalone businesses for different target markets with very different products, then you want to be more specialized and focus on presenting one of the businesses in a specific space for a specific audience, and not trying to bring them all together. Once the relationship is built and once you are getting to know the individuals better, you can start bringing in some of the other things that you are offering into the conversation, but without overwhelming the individual.
Yeah, I love that. Having kind of your different hats depending on what's most beneficial where you're at. This next question I think is really great. I'm going to kick it to D. My business has a broad market. It's not focused locally because there's not enough pool of clients. Is there a way that I can network more broadly?
So, first of all, I welcome you to book a free session and we can get into more details specifically about your business. But the key is to understand who your customer is. A lot of times business owners can't really identify the ideal customer. Once you're able to identify your ideal customer, the demographics of the customers, how much money the customer is able to spend, whether the customer will use your product, all those different things that we need to really, dive deep into to understand the customer. And then we could do a target market. So, it's one thing to just, put a broad marketing pitch out there, but being more targeted about identifying where that customer is going to be key. So I would say that no matter how broad the businesses or the products are or the services are, if you know who the customer is and you can identify the customers and where they are, what they look like, how they walk, how they talk, how much money they're spending, then it's going to be easier to be more targeted about finding where that customer is. So I want to I think there was let me tell you, someone has already booked a session with me. So Margaret, I see a text message came in that you booked a call with me. So I rather would just dive in deeper with each business specifically about how to do that. So I hope that answers your question, whoever asked that question.
Yes, thank you, Dee. And Emma has been dropping that link. It is completely free. You can pick your topic. Dee is one of our amazing coaches. You can pick your topic and go through and meet with an expert to talk specifically about your business because your business is unique, so definitely check out that link. I want to thank everyone, Shanika, Dee, Gustavo, for being here today and sharing so many insights and so many great actionable tips. I want to thank all the entrepreneurs. We know time is tight and you investing this time to come here, it means a lot. So thank you, everyone, and we will see you all in the next one. Bye.